Yoga is India's unique contribution to the world. It is a more intense form of prayer and religious worship. It is a way of reaching out to God through intense personal effort. Yoga aims to build a bridge between the world in which we live and the world from which we came. It attempts to reverse the process of creation and connect us to our source. It gives us an opportunity to transcend our limitations and realize who we are and what our true potentials are. Yoga has been the applied science of Hinduism, Jainism and Buddhism for the last several centuries. In this video, you will come to know about the true meaning of yoga and how it was practiced in the ancient world.
Our knowledge of yoga comes to us mostly from the Yogasutras of Patanjali, who lived sometime during the early Christian era. The Yogasutras is the most authoritative ancient scripture on yoga. However, Patanjali did not invent the system of yoga. It was practiced in the Indian subcontinent much before Patanjali by the followers of Jainism, Shaivism, Buddhism and many ascetic traditions, some of which were later integrated into the Vedic religion. The Indus people were probably familiar with some aspects of yoga. Followers of the Samkhya school used yoga as the means to liberate themselves from the hold of Prakriti. The Samkhya philosophy was probably the oldest of the Indian traditions to use yoga for spiritual liberation. The Jain yoga is also considered to be one of the most ancient yoga systems practiced in the Indian subcontinent. It focused more on self-denial and restraint to the extent of self-mortification as the means to liberation. The Buddha was against hurting the body for spiritual aims. He advocated a softer approach or the middle path in which the emphasis was more on using right means to achieve right ends. The ancient Buddhist yoga consisted of the practice of dhyana or meditation and becoming aware of breath and body sensations to cultivate mindfulness. The Vedic people had some vague notions of yoga. The Vedic seers practiced yoga to achieve equanimity and overcome death. The practice of yoga in the Vedic tradition was as a result of the internalization of the Vedic ritual and its elevation symbolically from the material plane into the mental plane. This is evident in the Katha Upanishad, where outward and insincere ritual of Vajrasravasas is discounted by the more honest and austere approach of Nachiketa towards the subject of liberation. One of the earliest references to meditation is found in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. The Katha Upanishad is the first Vedic scripture to use the word yoga and define it as the control of senses to achieve the supreme state. When young Nachiketa went according to his father's wishes to the world of Yama, the lord of death, Yama taught him the fire meditation and the contemplation of self or Adhyatma Yoga. The Svetasvatara Upanishad is more graphic in its details on how to practice yoga. It suggests how a yogi should hold his body erect fix his mind and senses in his heart and practice breath control. The Upanishad lists some of the images a yogi may see in his meditation and the experiences he may undergo as he practices yoga. Yoga is described in this Upanishad as the best means to overcome sickness, old age and death. The Maitri Upanishad speaks of sixfold yoga, which is probably a variation of the eightfold yoga elucidated in the Yogasutras. Some of the Upanishads can be best described as Yoga Upanishads because they deal with the subject of yoga exclusively. The Yoga Chudamani, Yoga Sikha and the Yoga Tattva Upanishads are good examples of Yoga Upanishads. They list the techniques and practices associated with various types of yoga and their relative importance in achieving liberation from the cycle of births and deaths.